Hey, welcome back to Biz Talk TV. I'm your host, Michael Rager, and we're here on Now Media TV and all of its channels around the world. Man, we got some new guests today, and that's what I'm looking for. You know, bring some new blood in, get some new situations going on for you business owners. And here in studio, we got Mac Pierre Louise, and over in Warsaw, we've got his partner, Natalie Olo. See, I was doing it so well. We were practicing. Olowaska Chaka. How you two doing today? How you doing, Mac?
Good, good. Thanks so much for having us. And Mac Pierre Louise, my name.
Natalia, how are you today?
And absolutely great. I'm excited to be talking about the things we love doing.
Yeah, you guys specialize in conflict resolution. So Mac, tell me a little bit about conflict resolution and what should we be looking at?
All right, so we focus mostly on conflict, resolving disputes between parties. We're lawyers, we're mediators, but we've been spending the last number of years litigating, but we're trying to transition over into mediation or helping people fix the disputes that plague their everyday lives. And so conflict resolution, what really it is the process through which disputing parties resolve their differences in a way that is beneficial to each party, to each side. And what we're trying to do is bring that approach to resolving conflicts and resolving disputes in the workplace, especially in family life, to everyday affairs as a first instance where people don't think first, hey, I got a problem, I want to go ahead and call a lawyer. Why don't people consider calling a mediator instead and seeing if a third party neutral can help them resolve their disputes? We think this is lacking in our society. We think if people knew that a first option was to call a mediator first instead of a lawyer, we might be able to get a lot of cases resolved out of court quickly, efficiently, and save people money and time.
So Natalia, we see conflicts all over the place. You know, where do you see them most, and where do you think that you and Mac come in and really help people the best?
Great question, and thank you for that. You see conflict in life everywhere. So it can be your everyday conflict that you have with your spouses, family members. That can be the conflicts you might have with your neighbors. That can be the conflicts that you can look at from the perspective of the business, with your contractors, with the businesses you are in business with. And that's actually, when you look at it, you have so many dimensions of conflict. The main focus of all of them is that they cost you stress, they cost you money, and a lot of time. So you can look at conflict in terms of it being personally and internally engaging. You can look at it as being a social thing, and also something that happens in the workplace or business. And you can look at it environmentally, systemically, or even governmentally. Main thing about it is that you can't look at the conflict as something only bad that is happening, because actually the resolution of the conflict brings a big change into your life, moves you forward. And this is the approach we are taking. We want to help people move forward in their lives, whatever sort of conflict they are facing.
Well, here in the U.S., Mac, we've become a very litigious society, right? How can business owners deal with conflict without getting in there?
Yeah, so the main approach is consider conflict resolution first as an alternative to simply calling a lawyer up. Not every case can go to the mediation table, okay? There's different kinds of mediation, whereas whether it's mediation, arbitration, coordination, facilitation, negotiation, settlement, ombudsmen, there's different types of ways you can mediate. However, the way to address the over litigious nature of our society is to get people to understand that one of the options is to call a mediator's office first, let the other side, your opponent, know, hey, here's a mediator I'd like to go to. Could we sit down and talk to them? Can we see how we can take a less adversarial approach to resolving our disputes? If people could understand that that option exists, then I think that will do a lot to reducing just the backlogged courts and reducing the conflicts that are in our hyper litigious society.
Well, let me ask you this, Natalia. You know, as a lawyer, You know, it seems like kind of the antithesis. You know, you guys are doing something different. So why did you decide to do things this way versus the way that other lawyers do it?
Mm, We decided to concentrate on alternative dispute resolution, meaning alternative to the court system, which embrace mediation and arbitration, but also negotiations, because we can see so many benefits of it. And look at that. It saves you costs. It saves you money. It saves you stress because in mediation, you go to environment that is known to you, close to you, in an atmosphere that gives you full respect and enables you to tell what is important for you. You can't be guaranteed that in the court. And you are going for a solution that is going to be legally binding despite of all the benefits it gives you. It's voluntary. It's also something that helps you deal with difficult emotions. And the way you solve the problem is absolutely controlled by you because you are not going to sign a mediated settlement agreement, which is the binding document being the result of the mediation, if it is not satisfying your needs. So it is really a great way out of any situation where you are stuck, whether in business or in life.
So these types of issues, you know, as a law firm, I see it before. You know, we got business divorce happen, we got regular divorce happen. Why should people start looking at mediation? I know it can be easier, it can be cheaper, but when should they start looking at it? How soon in the process, when they start seeing an issue, should they start looking at this?
Yeah, that's one of the benefits of mediation, actually. You can mediate at any phase in the process. You can do pre-suit mediation where you attack the problem head on and you say, look, before I even sue you, I'm going to invite you to talk to me first and try the negotiation process to see if we can maybe reach a compromise or a settlement that will be beneficial to both of us. Or midway in the litigation process, after a lawsuit's been commenced, you can say, hey, you know what, I've bit more than I can chew. Why don't I approach the other side in a less adversarial manner and go sit down and talk things out first? And finally, before a final trial, before the judge has spoken, you always have the power to take the power back and do the sit down. And this is why it requires you to go to a third party neutral, somebody who's going to be objective, somebody who's going to know that, be an expert in the field that is in dispute and be able to help the parties resolve it. It might be something small, whether it's a divorce, like you mentioned, just between two people. It might be something big, where it's a dispute that involves millions of dollars between companies and contracts. But whatever it is, dispute at every level can be resolved and addressed, you know, properly, expeditiously, and cheaply through the mediation table.
Awesome. Well, Natalia, you mentioned that you guys have a podcast. Can you tell us a little bit about that podcast and where do people find it?
Oh, thank you so much. Because for educational purposes, we decided that we need to also go out and speak about mediation the way it can be done in the most beneficial way. So we are trying to educate the public on mediation, and our podcast can be achieved on any platform you are at. You are listening to your podcast, and it's called at LMI podcast, which stands for Lawyers and Mediators International. We also have a YouTube channel that concentrates on that. And all our podcasts are also video casts. So you can see all our heroes, everybody who is speaking there and encouraging to mediate, also in person. And we have lovely topics. We have beautiful guests, and we really make progress. We can see people are interested in that, and we can do some sort of a good job in helping people solve their issues outside of courts.
Well, awesome. Well, Mac, you're here in Houston. Where do people get a hold of you and how do they find you?
Yeah, so Natalia and I, we actually share one website that has links to all of our websites. My website directly is, of course, macpierre.com, just my name. However, if people go to alaskapierre.com, that's where they'll be able to see my direct link, Natalia's direct link, and all the different projects we do together. It's the simplest way, and of course it has links to the podcast as well, where people can watch us on YouTube and learn more about mediation, especially online mediation.
Well, that's awesome. Any last words from you, Natalia?
Just go and mediate. and you will see how beneficial it will be to you, to any issue you had, whether in family, in business, with your coworker, anything that you think is too big and it's overcoming you, you can do it in a peaceful, respectful atmosphere and be done with it.
Well, awesome. Well, awesome. It's great having you guys on. I'm looking forward to the next several weeks to learning more about you guys and how conflict resolution can really be resolved through mediation and really helping families and businesses grow. So I hope you guys have a great week, and we're going to see you next week. My name is Michael Rager. I'm your business guide here on Now Media TV. We'll